When it comes to seasons of True Detective, I would rank them. Season 1, obviously still the best. Then I'd have to say Season 3. If you never watched Season 3, go back and watch it. So good. Not just Mahershala Ali, but Stephen Dorff. Although, Stephen Dorff, that was supposed to be his big break, and he never really got anything off of that, which is scary considering how much talent is in this new season. But then, yes, I would put Season 4 next. And I didn't even finish Season 2, because that was unwatchable. But as for the 3 seasons that I did watch, this was a very tight race with all of them extremely close in quality. So even though Season 4 comes in last of the 3 that I watched, I really, really loved it and highly recommend it. So allow me to explain. Now, Season 4, as I just said, is top-notch True Detective storytelling, but it differs from the previous seasons in several ways. 1. This is the first season where creator Nick Pizzolato, he was also supposed to really take off, but now this is the only thing keeping his career alive. But he didn't even write any of these episodes. He supposedly came up with the idea for this season, and it's a very good idea. So he's worth that. If he did indeed come up with the idea, the setup for this season, worth his paycheck for that alone. It's incredible. But yeah, he didn't write any of the episodes, instead passing the creative torch, thank goodness, because what a choice, to Mexican writer-director Issa Lopez, who is extremely talented. We're definitely going to talk about her more in just a few moments, but wow. Then 2, the supernatural element from Season 1 comes back with a vengeance. Supernatural this season. So much so that this plays as much like a ghost story as it does a murder mystery. I was like, I can't say it because I don't want to give anything away. There are a lot of twists and turns here. But yeah, there's a huge supernatural element with lots of ghosts. All right, so 3, for the first time, we have 2 female detectives played by Jodie Foster and Reis. And this is where things get particularly interesting. So Jodie Foster's Liz Danvers and Reis's Evangeline Navarro, they both go by Danvers and Navarro. They each have male love interests. Navarro's is excellent, by the way. I was rooting for those 2. I was like, you guys are such a great match. But they are both totally stripped of stereotypical female behavior. And I loved it. I couldn't get enough of it. I was like, these are the female characters that I am looking for. But on the other hand, I also loved Barbie. But this was so great to see. This was intoxicating and inspiring to watch. To see these 2 women operating at this level. From their behavior to their power, not just physically. I mean, Reis is a force. But also their power in terms of the hierarchy, not just in the town, but within the police force itself. Then to the scenes they get to play. What an amazing opportunity for these 2 actresses. From like the mystery detective scenes to the dramatic scenes to the action scenes. I mean, they must, every time they showed up for a scene, they were like, it's so cool that we get to do this. We're not like on the fringe or the girlfriend or the wife or the secretary of the characters who are in this scene. It's our scene. It's incredible. I loved it so much. So, and as I wrote my notes for this review, I realized that both Danvers and Navarro are never apologetic. And that's a game changer. I mean, they're not Mary Sue's. They make mistakes, huge mistakes, and they get in trouble. They get in danger. I mean, they're fantastic, very fully fleshed out, flawed characters. But every time they own it and they just deal with it. They plow through it, just like the male heroes do of detective stories and westerns, etc. And it was just, again, so incredible to see. I mean, I just couldn't get enough of it. Every time I watched an episode, even if I didn't love the episode, I was like, this is so cool. All the awards for Foster and Reis and more projects. And Lopez, who created these 2 characters and directed this and allowed this to happen, made it happen. I just can't, in this regard, I can't recommend the show highly enough. Now, there's a but coming, as I'm sure you sense. While the first 2 and the last 2 episodes are incredible, the middle 2 episodes are weak. They flounder. I was looking at my phone while I watched them. They're a bit too existential for me. And if I'd signed up for an existential show, no problem. But it was almost like the show changed gears. There were still a couple of mystery detective elements. And again, these 2 incredible performances to keep me kind of interested. But it was looking so bad that I was thinking I might not recommend the show to you. I was like, oh, it's too bad. The first 2 episodes were amazing, but now it tanked. But thankfully, I was like, it's got to get better. And I had to see what happened because, again, the setup was so amazing. I was like, I have to see what happens. So thankfully, the last 2 episodes, and the last one's an hour and 15 minutes. These episodes are long. They really brought it home hard. I even gasped out loud during the finale. I was like, that's what I want, and that's what they gave me, and I loved it. It was incredible. But as for like the ending, you know, like the resolution to the murder mystery, again, no spoilers, but I will tell you, I didn't love it, and I can see a lot of people complaining about it, which frustrates me. Now, I didn't like it because I thought it came out of nowhere. I mean, like, there were some breadcrumbs. You were like, oh yeah, didn't we drop that storyline like 3 episodes ago? And they're like, well, it's back now. And you're like, but I mean, just from a writing perspective, I think they just didn't do it right. So it seems like a cheat a little bit. You know, because they were so bluffing you, they were going to go in a different direction. And then, but it's not a well-crafted bluff works if in hindsight you're like, oh, I see it. But if you just like straight out kind of lie and mislead the audience, well, that's not a really good bluff. But the reason I see people complaining about it is that it leans hard into the feminism angle, which is crazy because the show itself is not particularly feminist. I guess it is in the way that this is the kind of women that we hope to see. But I just, you know, I don't know if it undercut it or maybe made it stronger. I have to think about it. Because at the same time, the commentary that the ending provides is not wrong. I was like, they have a point. And I did like some qualities about it, but I can't tell you because I don't want to spoil that surprise. But I was bracing myself for a much worse ending. I was like, oh man. So this ending, even though it wasn't my favorite, it was much better than what I thought it was going to be. So it ended up being a relief. I was like, I'll take it. Deal. All right. So I mean, if this is what they wanted to do, I support that, you know, from a storytelling and messaging perspective. But I think they could have done a better job, and then they wouldn't open themselves up to the criticism that I think that some people are going to levy at them. Both from, you know, some of the toxic criticism that's out there, and also there's just so much of this feminist storytelling these days. I think it just becomes a little overwhelming. But also just from a writing perspective, they didn't do it right. They just didn't set it up right. Okay, now let's talk Issa Lopez. This is her first Hollywood endeavor, but she's also working on a film that Guillermo del Toro is producing, which means she's kind of a Guillermo del Toro, well, Hollywood discovery. You know, he does this. He brings over particularly, you know, a lot of South American talent has really kind of like banded together, which is a fabulous brotherhood in Hollywood. Now it's a sisterhood with Issa Lopez. But, you know, Guillermo del Toro has a good eye for talent. Remember, he brought over J.A. Bayona. So good. J.A. Bayona, you know, J.A. Bayona doesn't work that much now. He has a Netflix movie that's just coming out. But Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom really, you know, pinged, you know, or dinged his career, which is unfair because I liked that movie. I mean, what about that dinosaur on the dock, right? Left Behind? Or the auction scene? I mean, I like that movie. It was unfair for J.A. Bayona to get taken out by that film. But, you know, that just shows you the caliber of talent that Lopez is on the level with. You know, J.A. Bayona, Issa Lopez. These two are both incredibly talented. And since you know how good J.A. Bayona is, I'm telling you that's how good Issa Lopez is. And you'll see it for yourself when you watch True Detective Night Country. She directs all 6 episodes, and she wrote or co-wrote all 6 of them as well. And visually, I mean, we just talked, the writing's very good. I don't want to say too, you know, I think that there are some aspects that were a little weak, but a lot of times the show is very strong across the board. And visually, consistently, the show is stunning. Absolutely stunning, with all the grit and noir you would not only expect from True Detective, but from HBO. This is up there with all the top male directors. Really, stylistically, it is just so incredibly strong. So many times I was like, that shot's beautiful. That shot's beautiful. You know, we were recently, I just recently started Blue Eye Samurai on Netflix. Incredible, incredible animated show. And you would think that today you could only get that kind of artistry with the adult animation. But it's here. It's here as well. I mean, there's just so many times where you're like, great use of the setting, Issa. I mean, wow, that was incredible. Like driving off into the night and the snow and oh my God, it was so good. You're just in for a real treat. I hope it has broad appeal, because like her two female leads, Lopez is a director-writer first. This isn't True Detective for women, it's just True Detective. And so I hope everybody tunes in. I really hope so, because it's that good. Watch the first episode. I would say in the first 5 minutes, you'll be hooked, but I think if you even give it to 15 minutes, you'll be like, now I gotta see how it ends, because it's that incredible. And you really should be intoxicated by Foster and Reis's performances and Lopez's visuals. I mean, wow. So this, I think the trailers for this have not been great. So usually I don't explain what a movie is about, but in this case, because I think it needs a better sell, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what this story is about. So this season focuses on the small frozen town of Ennis, Alaska, just as it's thrust into the months-long night that they have up there, and which has been the setting for many a movie at this point, but none at this caliber. I mean, that's also, I think, maybe hurting the show a little bit. You're like, oh, is it like those other B or C-level projects? And you're like, no, it's an A-level project, maybe an A-. Here, 8 men die very mysteriously right at the beginning of the show at a remote research station. Wait until you see this. It caught me off guard. I was like, oh, it's this kind of show. That is incredible. Wow. And as I said, it is just a fantastic setup for the season. It just buys them so much capital that even when they have a couple of missteps, you're like, that was weak, but I don't care. I gotta find out what happened. The town is a mix of outcasts and those who've exiled themselves, which is obviously not so great for the Native American Alaskan community who now find themselves stuck with all these rejects, but also their pollution, because there's a mine just outside of the town as well. There's always a mine that's causing serious health issues for the people, and it's getting worse. Add to that Navarro, whose mother was a Native American of the same area, who is, she kind of feels she's come home, but yet she also feels like an outsider. And she has sort of a supernatural sixth sense. Plus, she's haunted by a cold case, not only as as an officer, but also as a detective, true detective, but also because of the sixth sense that she has of a Native woman's murder from a couple of years ago. But on top of all that, she and Danvers are haunted by something else that they did. They really, really did it back when they were partners the last time around. Oh, this was great stuff, because when the season starts, they're on a break. So that was really fun too. Jodie Foster is, of course, already a Hollywood legend, but she's been on a break. And now that she's back, I have to say, I'm familiar with Jodie Foster's work, but I've never seen her like this. This is electric. This is a career-defining performance, and a career which you would think has already had a bunch of career-defining performances. But nope, she topped it, and I hope she gets a ton of new work off of this. She's like as good as like Bryan Cranston or something. I mean, it's just absolutely incredible, jaw-dropping stuff. Also, I have to say, it was another thing that was mesmerizing is that at this point in her in her life, she looks a bit like Michael J. Fox, and not only do they have a similar look, but she has a lot of his trademark movements and speech patterns. So that was crazy too. I was like, she's like Michael J. Fox's sister. This is incredible. Callie Reis. Now, she is a professional boxer. Look at some of these shots. The power. And she brings it all here to this show. It's amazing. I mean, like, they have her fighting a lot of guys, but I mean, you totally believe that she can take them. But it's a rough fight. Again, she's not a Mary Sue. She gets hit hard, but she gets back up. Oh, I love her. I love her so much. And this is her first major acting gig. She did something before, like a small indie film, but this is her first major acting gig. Yet she more than holds her own opposite Oscar winner Jodie Foster. Oh, wow, what a talent, what charisma. I hope she gets a ton of work off this as well. I'm like, wow, where did this woman come from? She's incredible. Now, this is really a two-hander, but there are some other top-notch, well-known actors floating around in the background. Fiona Shaw, love her. John Hawkes, Christopher Eccleston. I always pronounce that name correctly. But then there are some newcomers, other newcomers. Finn Bennett as a rookie police officer. He's another great find. He's got a little flirtatious kind of antagonistic thing going on with Jodie Foster's Danvers. Really interesting role. Also, John Hawkes is his dad, and they both work in the police department. So there's some tension there as well, because his dad is a major a-hole. And then also, as I said, I really loved Joel D. Montgrand as Navarro's love interest. I mean, that's tough to play off of, what Reis is doing. She's just such a powerhouse in every way possible. Yet Montgrand balances her out exceptionally well. To the point where, as I said, I was like, I'm rooting for you too. Isabella Starr LeBlanc also makes an impression as Jodie Foster's estranged daughter, who's wrestling with her identity in every possible way. Especially her role really comes into focus as the season goes on. And there are a number of other Native American actors who do excellent work here, even though they have very small roles. But each and every time they make a strong impression. There's one woman who's like a cremator. I thought that scene was incredible, and she did such a good job with it. Very powerful, understated performances. Some have pointed out that all the other True Detective seasons have been 8 episodes, whereas this one is just 6. So on the one hand, maybe giving it 2 more episodes might have helped set up that ending better and would have allowed us to spend more time with the Native American characters. But on the flip side, the show already sags in the middle. So maybe, I don't know if they had enough story to I think they just would have had to rip it up too much. And I think what they have is good enough. So yes, while True Detective Season 4 isn't perfect, those darn 2 middle episodes, the beginning and the end, are so freaking good. I strongly recommend that you watch this show. And I binged it. Maybe watching it week to week will help because these episodes will have some space around them. Like in a binge, that was brutal. These 2 just like ground the show to my experience watching the show to a halt. I was like, man. But maybe if you're coming to it week to week anyway, maybe they'll play a little bit better. So that's my review of True Detective Night Country. I was honest about its flaws, but I hope that doesn't keep you from watching it because, as I said, it was just electric. Oh my God. What's good about it is like the best I've ever seen. Oh my gosh, I love it so much. All right, so this is the new HBO Sunday night show, and I think it steps up to the bar, definitely. And it starts. They lifted the review embargo way early on this. It starts Sunday, January 14th. Don't miss the first episode. Oh, so good. And you'll have to see how it ends. It's great. Share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.